Hello everyone and welcome back to today's episode of Thoughts on the Track. Today we are wrapping up the Acorn Cup by talking about Piranha Plant Cove. Now this track originated in Mario Kart Tour, and to me there's a clear distinction when it comes to tour tracks. You have all the cities that are mostly pretty mid and have mid remakes here in this booster course pass. But then you have the tracks that when they're in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, they don't have the tour label. Tracks like Sky High Sundae, Yoshi's Island, and Squeaky Clean Sprint don't have that tour stink about them. They're more creative, fun tracks to play on. And so Piranha Plant Cove also fits in this category. But actually it did originally come out in tour, unlike the previous tracks which were put in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and then tour. Does that make any sense? But like these other tracks, it's also about creativity and not that old city life. So let's get started and talk about Piranha Plant Cove, shall we? First, we must talk about the track design, and this is a track which has 3 different laps, as you'd come to expect with tour-centric tracks. Now the laps have some overlap as you start laps 1 and 2 by making these exciting jumps up a couple staircases, and for the most part you're driving around underwater among the piranha plants. There are some fun turns, and yes, there is a turn where piranha plants try to bite you. It's a bit reminiscent of Piranha Plant Slide for sure, considering it's, a track that goes underwater and involves piranha plants. But it separates itself with a more mystical underwater feel, more like you're in the Little Mermaid movie Under the Sea. I'll talk more about how this track gives me Thwomp Ruins vibes during the music section, and you do indeed pass through a couple thwomps under speed boosts during the second lap. There's potential for a pretty neat shortcut towards the beginning of the third lap, plus lots of holes in the ground you can do tricks on. The difficulty curve is certainly there, and some of the turns do feel a bit awkward to be honest, but overall, I like it. Now let's talk about the track artwork, where it truly feels like an underwater adventure when racing through this one. You're surrounded by coral and rocks, as it truly feels like you're digging through the beauty of undersea life. It's like you're in a David Attenborough nature documentary. You gotta love it. Evidently the visuals were quite upgraded as compared to the Mario Kart Tour original, and hey, I'd certainly hope so. But it honestly feels like you're racing in this beautiful underwater temple, especially as you start the first 2 laps when you race up the staircases. When the ancient Greeks were talking about the lost city of Atlantis, I'm pretty sure they were talking about this Mario Kart track. There's the usual undersea creatures hanging around like Cheep Cheeps and that Unagi too. While we've had prettier tracks in the booster course pass, we've also certainly had less appealing ones too. It is a pretty track indeed. Finally, let's talk about the music, which much like the rest of the track, I enjoy quite a bit. I get Thwomp Ruins vibes from this song as it has a Celtic feel to it. But a track that's more suited to being underwater. Obviously part of Thwomp Ruins is underwater, but being underwater is a more recurring theme with this track. So much so that apparently Piranha Plant Cove 3 for Mario Kart Tour is the first track in the entire series to take place entirely underwater. Interesting. Anyway, with its whimsical feeling of happiness, it's like it's straight out of a Disney movie, as I've said before. It also gives similar vibes to those underwater songs we've heard in Mario Kart tracks before, such as with Cheep Cheep Beach or Cheep Cheep Lagoon, but they didn't cheap out on the music this time around, no pun intended, because this song is catchier and more vibrant than those two. Also, from what I've read, the tour original was also good, and this song remake was faithful to that original, so props to Nintendo for that one. Oh, and one more thing, the music is in a unique 6/4 time signature. It feels almost like a waltz, but not quite. So overall, what are my thoughts on this track? As you may be able to tell, quite positive ones. For the track design, I give this an 8 out of 10. It's not perfect, I don't love all the turns, but I love the sense of adventure from driving around staircases, dodging thwomps through speed boosts, dodging piranha plants, etc. The track artwork is similarly awesome, as I love the Disney movie vibes this track gives me. You can lose yourself in this lost city of Atlantis, and lose yourself in a good way, not the Eminem way. I'd give the artwork an 8 out of 10 as well. Finally, the music is so charming, so whimsical, it's damn near perfect, but I'm gonna say it's not quite perfect and give it a 9 out of 10. But it's definitely one of the better tunes you'll hear in the Mario Kart series. So, overall, I give this track an 8.3 out of 10. It's simply a great track. It doesn't quite match up to the standard of the best from this booster course pass, i.e. Sky High Sundae, Yoshi's Island, the ones I mentioned earlier. But it is definitely up there. Oh, it is up there. So what are your thoughts on Piranha Plant Cove? Did you like this track? Was I too generous, or maybe even not generous enough? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm heading off to South Carolina for the week, but hopefully I will see you with a new video next week before Christmas. Bye bye!